So before we managed to draw the straight lines or to plot the straight lines using the table of values method, if you still remember. But I say that there are different ways that we can actually use to plot the straight lines or to have a straight line at the end, right? From any straight line that you're given, we have the table of values. And we have what we refer to as the gradient-intercept method. So the gradient-intercept method is the one that we're going to focus on in this class. All right, we're going to leave this table of values aside and focus with gradient-intercept. It is a method which requires you to understand the gradient from the method on its own, gradient intercept. Intercept. So if I'm given the gradient, or if I know the y-intercept and the gradient, I can determine, I can draw the line in this manner. I just want to explain the basics. Let's hope you're going to understand me here. It simply requires some aspects of our gradient. Remember, gradient is the change in y over the change in x. Let's say for something like this, the change in y, the change in what? In x, which can also be taken in this way, all right? Change in y, change in what? In x, like this. Can have it that way. So when you have a point, the point is your starting point now, which is the y-intercept. So the y-intercept, this one, it is simply going to be our reference point to say, let's say your y-intercept is positive 3. Let's say this is where your y-intercept is. You mark that point, all right? Then from that point, you move the gradient. Gradient is simply a movement. Change in y over what? The change in y over the change in x. So let's say our change in y is like this. Change in y, then this is change in x. It's reaching a point. You mark that point. You do again, change in y, change in x. Maybe it's add here, change in y, change in x. Then you can join those, what? Those points from the y-intercept to the point where our gradient ended. Another point where the gradient ended, you produce what? The line. So that is the most important aspect. So I'm going to explain graphically so that you understand me clearly on how to use this method, of which if it is a method that you opt out, you can leave it and use what? And use the table of values or the double intercept, another method that I'm going to explain in our next class. So let's see. There we are being given to use a scale of 2 centimeters to 1 unit. All right. Mark X and Y axis. So here it is for both axes. All right. So I'm just gonna exceed these intervals so that we can properly have our method. But in terms of exam, like I said, they will give you an interval which can carry out all the lines or all the graphs that you're going to have. So I'm just going to exceed the interval, but 2 centimeters is representing what? 1 unit on both axes. So let us have 0, 1, 2. All right, this is our 3. All right, 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, let's see the x values. The x value is up to 5. All right, so here we just need to shift a little bit so that we can have the positive 5 there. So I'm just gonna shift this one here. Okay, so that our 0 is gonna be here, and this will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We now have the 5. All right, then minus 1, minus 2, minus 3. Okay, this line is like, it's not straight. Just need a little bit to be taken up. Okay. Okay, something like this. Okay, let's just leave it. So this is it from -3 up to 5. And the y values, we must carry what? -4 up to 8. -4 up to 8. Can I get 8 here, guys? Let's see. Let's try. All right. 1, 2, 3. After 2 centimeters. All right. So this is going to be our 3 here. So let's see if we're gonna win 3. And this is 4. And this is 5, 6, 7. Guys, I'm not gonna win here because -4 is gonna be 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, so very sorry for that. So I needed to shift this one a little bit again so that we can win. All right, no problem. So let me just do this one box. I just need, yes, one box. According to that, it's going to be one box. So I think if we do this, yes, we're going to win. So guys, under exam, it's only that here I'm using this digital platform. Under exam, guys, you won't like have these challenges because that's the first thing that you must look into consideration if the values are gonna be properly presented. So that is the first thing that you must take into consideration so that you do not have any disturbances like what we just had. But anyways, this is how it was going to look like. We need up to minus what? Up to -4. So yes, we have got -4 here. Then up to 8. They said up to 8. So this is going to be 1, 2, 3, up to what? Up to 8. So let's go up, guys, up to what? Up to 8 and see if we're gonna win. But this time we are supposed to have those values. So that's 4, 5, 6, 7, and we have our 8 here. So yes, guys, this was gonna work out. So like I say, that's the first thing, guys, that you must work on. Your Cartesian plan must contain what? The given limit, the given interval. So that's our y-axis. This one, we have our interval as it is. It must carry the interval. So here, guys, we cannot even go beyond -4 up to 8. It has taken out all our values, guys, from -4 up to 8, and also -5 up to -4, -3 up to 5. So anyways, this is it. So using this method to plot the line or to draw this line, like I said, it is what? Gradient intercept. The first one, y is equal to x plus 5. So this is what you do. You mark the y-intercept first. This is your point. That's your reference point, actually, the y-intercept. You mark that one, this y-intercept, which is what? +5. So you mark that, all right? This is your +5 here. You mark it on your graph, okay? Your y-intercept in the y-axis. Then you ask yourself, what is the gradient? The gradient is what? 1. Meaning to say, this gradient 1 tells us that there is a change in what? In y and a change in x, which is going to give us what? A 1. So that is 1 over 1 to get a 1. Or it is from -1 over -1. This will give us what? This will give us a 1. So you must take note, guys, the change in the change in y over the change in x. It could be +1 over positive what? Over +1. You get 1. Or it was -1 over -1. So you must put in mind that to get a positive, it can be what? From this condition. Positive over positive, negative over negative. That's your gradient. So you move that gradient as you know that it is the change in y and the change in x to get like this one, -1, -1. Or if you are using this one, the change in y, change in x. All right? Y is going to the positive, x to the positive, +1, +1. So you move in that manner. But now, according to the space now that we have, let's see, but it's still okay. positive 1, positive 1. Okay, it's fine. Or you can use this one to, this negative 1, negative 1. It means y is going down and x, we are going to the what? To the left. That is negative 1, negative 1. So let us just use this one. That is the change in y over the change in x going up and going to the right. So that's positive 1, positive 1. That is it. So you move that gradient graphically on the graph here. All right, let us move that. According to the points, according to this scale that we have here, 2 centimeters represent 1 unit. So meaning to say for every 2 centimeters, it's 1, okay, on both axes. Okay, so this is what we're going to do. We move our gradient. Like I said, I'm going to use this one, change in y, then change in x. So from the 0.5 that you marked, let us move. You must form a 90 degrees. So change in y, let us go up 1 unit. Change in x, horizontally 1 unit. As it is positive 1 over positive 1. So that is change in y, 1 unit, change in x, 1 unit. So you end up at this point after moving that gradient. Where is it that you end up? You mark that point, not the movement. The movement, this one is something that you can just do it in your head to say, okay, I'm going to move like this. So change in y, 1 unit, change in x, 1 unit. You end up here, you mark that point. That is where you are. From that point, now, this is your reference point now. This is the point that you're now working as your reference point. Remember, this was our reference point. So you're now using this as your reference point or as the point that you are working from now to move the same gradient. So you move the same gradient, 1, change in y over change in what? In x. We're having that L. So change in y, 1 unit going up, change in x, 1 unit to the what? To the right. We formed an L like that. This is what? Gradient. This is where we have what? The final part. You mark that point. Remember, 3 points are enough to draw a line. So you can even leave it like that. Or you can even move again. The gradient. This is now our reference point. This one. Change in y over what? Change in x. 1 unit going up, 1 unit to the right. So that is what you're going to have at the end. You mark that point where you ended. So, guys, what I'm simply saying, here I used this one, which has positive values. If you used this one with negative, still you're going to have same answers, but take note for negative, change in y, you're going down, change in x, you're going to the what? To the left. So let's use here this 0.5 and prove that. You're going to see that you're going to form the same straight line. Change in y, you want to use this concept now, going down and to the left to get 1, negative 1 over negative 1. So from 5, I'm going to move 1 unit going down, change in y, 1 unit going down, change in x, I form a right angle, change in x, 1 unit to the what? To the left, negative 1, negative 1. That is the concept. So we end up where? We end up here. Where we end up at that point, you mark that point. So this is where you are. You're going to mark that point. All right, here. This is where we are. Okay, what is happening now here? Okay, let me see, guys. I think it's just network or something. So I said you're going to end up at that point. So you mark that point like this. So that is it. Same as before. So you're going to continue again from that point, change in y, change in x, negative, negative. Yeah, remember we're focused on that one. So change in y over change in x, you do the same from what? From this point, negative 1, change in y, change in x, negative 1 to the what? We are going to the left. So you're going to have the point here, you mark it. So all these points, guys, they lie on the line that we want to have at the end. So you simply need to join them. So as we can see, 3 points are enough. So let's say you were using this one that is negative 1 over negative 1. These 3 points were enough for you to have a line, all right, a straight line. Let's say you were working from this one, which is positive, positive, meaning to say these ones here on this side, they are also enough for you to have what? A straight line. These 3 points going this side are enough for you to have what? A straight line at the end. But anyways, this is what we have. This was just for revision purposes. So you join those points, producing what? A straight line at the end of the day. You are going to have something like this. So that is the gradient intercept method. Using this method, you can draw your straight line direct like that. So this is what we have at the end. This is our line at the end of the day. So you're gonna write its equation, of which, okay, I'm just gonna, okay. But you saw, guys, these points, I'm just gonna, all right, okay, let me just do this. All right, so that I can properly have my equation here of the line. Remember, our line was what? Y is equal to x plus 5. So that's y is equal to x plus 5. So if you are using the table of values, you are going to have this line passing through the same points as it is this one. So I want you to prove that using what? Table of values. You are going to see that the line is going to be the same as what we can see here. So that's another way which you can choose when you are drawing the straight lines. When you see, okay, this one is direct, then you can use what? The gradient intercept. Okay, let's have another one for practice sake. Y is equal to 1 over 3x plus 3. All right, so there we've got y is equal to 1 over 3x plus what? 3. Using the gradient intercept form, I said what is important first is to mark the what? The point that you're given. All right, so let us remove this so that we can have proper space that we can actually see what is happening, so that you can properly see what is happening here. All right, so using this method, like I said, what you're going to need is to mark the y-intercept first. That is your initial point, the y-intercept. Our y-intercept is what? Positive 3. That's our reference point. So we mark that point here, positive 3. That is the y-intercept. Then the gradient is what? The y is equal to 1 over 3x. This is our gradient m, 1 over 3. So our gradient is 1 over 3. So to get to 1 over 3, it is either we've got positive 1, positive 3 as it is, or negative 1 over negative 3. It gives us 1 over 3. So it simply means one and the same. So you can work from this one or from this one. So let us use this one, 1 over 3. So interpreting from here, change in y over change in x, it simply means from the point that I'm having here as my y-intercept, as my reference point, the change in y is 1 unit, meaning to say I'm going up, change in y, 1 unit. Then change in x, positive 3, it means we're going to the what? To the right to produce this L. You're going to the right, positive 3. So that's positive 1, positive 3. So you move in that manner according to the scale. 2 centimeters represents what? 1 unit. So let's do that using this one. So change in y from 3, change in y, 1 unit going up. So this is our change in y, 1 unit going up. How many units change in x? 3 units to the what? To the right. So 3 units, this is 1, all right, 2, 3, right? 3 units to the what? To the right. So this is it. 1 here, 2 here, 3. So we end up where? We end up at this point. Where we end up, you mark that point. So change in y, you move to 1 unit. Change in x, 3 units according to scale. So this is 1, 2, 3. Okay? Then we do the same. This is now the new point. From that point, you do the same. You move your gradient. Change in y over what? Change in x. So let's move change in y going up 1 unit. That's our change in y. 1 unit going up 1 unit according to scale. Change in x, 3 units going to the what? To the right. So that's 3 units. So this is 1, 2, 3. So this one was gonna go out because of this part that we're having. So anyways, we can see this is what? 1. Okay, this is gonna be 2, and the third one was not gonna work. Let's see, we are up to what here? Up to 5. So this one was not gonna work this side because of what? Because of the interval that you are given up to what? up to positive 5. So you see, when it is like this, it is either you're going to use these 2 points or you move on to this one, which is on the negative. Because this one, it simply tells us change in y, we are going to move down -1. Change in x, we are going to the what? To the left, 3 units. X to be negative, you're going to the left. So you can use that consideration so that you have what? The third point, which is not necessary. You can just join these 2 points, it's fine. Or just for verification, use the third one. So change in y, I'm going to take this one going down, 1 unit going down, -1. Change in x, -3, that is 3 to the left horizontally. So this is -1, -2, -3. You are moving -1, -2, -3. So you end up where? You end up here. At that point, you mark it. So you've got 3 points now. You can join them. But like I said, those 2 points were even okay as they are. It's still okay to use those 3 points as we had before. So that is basically what you are going to have at the end of the day. You have formed a straight line by using this method. So that's our straight line. Y is equal to what? 1 over 3x plus what? 3, just like that. So you play around, guys. Just like that. You play around. You have a straight line. If you are going to use table values, the line was going to pass through the same points like that. The line was going to pass through the same points. So that is how we play around with this method. Anyways, let's try another one. Then I'm just going to have this one as my last. All right. Then you do the rest of the given questions that I'm going to leave out for you guys using this method. Then you verify with the table of values if the points are passing through the same, like are they passing through the same from where you have drawn your straight line? Are they passing through the same? If you're using what? Table of values method, that's how you can mark these questions on your own. If you do not have anyone who's going to mark your work, you can prove with another method. All right, so let's just have another one, which is a negative gradient. All right, this one is okay. You can even use this one. All right, the g, y is equal to -2 over 3x, right? So y is equal to -2 over 3x. So as an individual, I want you to try these remaining ones, C, D, E, F, and H. All right, where you do not understand, let us communicate. Or if you have done these questions, you can take a picture, send it on the community section. All right, that can actually help. Can I? Okay, okay. I'm gonna show you guys. Like I wanted just to have another browser which is already open, but I see I do not have. But you can check the community of Maths Zone African Motives. On that community, you take a picture using your phone, then you upload your solutions to say on this activity. You can even copy the link of the video. This one, you copy the link, then you paste the link there, then you also put what? The solutions that you have obtained so that I can mark from there to say, okay, this is correct or this is wrong. Rather to use WhatsApp, let us do everything on YouTube. So if you don't understand, just write that I don't understand about the community section so that I can have a separate video explaining that. And also for those who are following the topic, if you're following, just also comment that you are following so that I know you are part of my classes, so that if any part that is going to happen, I'm going to also go through your work and understand where you do not understand. And if you're part of membership, just also comment, I'm following, I am on membership. Any work for me, say, then I'm going to give you extra work that you can do and mark that work so that you do more revisions that can help you in your examinations. All right, so let's do revise, guys, as much as we can. So like I said, do those ones, post them on community section. I'm going to mark. All right, let us consider this one. All right, y is equal to -2 over 3x. All right, using the method that we are given here, what is our y-intercept? The y-intercept is simply going to be plus 0. Remember, y is equal to mx plus c. The y-intercept is not given, so that's the origin. So from the method, I said you mark that because that's your reference what point at 0, the origin, you mark that. Then your gradient is what? 3 minus 3 over 2. So our gradient is minus 2 over 3. Minus 2 over 3 can also be written as 2 over minus 3. Remember, the negative can simply be taken up, not meaning to say the change in y was minus 2. Maybe it was the change in x, which was minus 3. But when you wrote your final answer, you take the negative up. So you can work it from this, or you can work it from this one. It is in your hands. So let's try to work out from this one and see how our movement was going to be. From a certain point, our gradient, change in y, change in x. So the change in y is a negative, meaning to say you're going down to the negative values, all right? Then the change in x, positive 3, meaning to say you're going what? To the right when you form that L like that. The change in x was what? Positive 3 to the right. So that is basically how we are going to have our gradient from the reference point, which is what? Our y-intercept at the origin. Let's move that and see. All right, the change in y from the origin, how many units going down? Negative 2. So negative 2, that's minus 1, minus 2. All right, then how many units going to the x? Positive 3. That is 3 units to the left. I mean to the x going to the right. So that's 1, 2, 3 according to scale. According to our scale, this is the final point, our final position. You mark that as a point. So using that as the new point, you move again the same gradient, change in y over the change in x. All right, minus 2, positive 3. So minus 2 from that point, minus 2, this is minus 1, minus 2. All right, the change in x, 3. So this is not going to work. 1, 2, it's going to be out of the interval. So this was going to limit us. So when you are limited, use those 2 points, join them, you have what? The straight line. Or move on to another way of presentation of the same gradient, which I said you can have it as what? As 2 over minus 3. The change in y over the change in x. From this presentation, it simply means y was going from a point, the change in y, you're going up, positive 2. Then the change in x, negative 3, it means you're going to the what? To the left. So let's try that. We can try that from the origin, from our reference point. Let's try that change in y. Is it going to work? All right. Yes, this one is going to work. All right. 2 units going up, 2 units going up, 1, 2. All right. So you move straight going up. So this is 1 and that's 2. And how many units to the left for the negative 3? That's 3 units to the left. So from here, you're going to be 1, 2, 3. So you end up at which point this is our final position. You mark that as your final point. So there we've got what? 3 points. They are enough for us to have a straight line. Even those 2 points, guys, these 2 points, they were still okay. But just for others to properly understand, that is what you can simply have. So this is it. We join those 3 points that we marked on the graph. By joining these points, we have produced the straight line of what? Y is equal to minus 2 over 3x. So you write down its equation. Y is equal to minus 2 over 3x. Just like that. So that is how you play around with these straight lines. It's another way of drawing straight lines. Not to say the table of values is not important. No, each and every method is important. Somehow you find out that this one is easier. At a certain point, it is easier for you to use what? the gradient-intercept method. At a certain point, it is easier for you to just use your what? Your table of values method. And at another point, it is easier for you to use the double intercept method, which is the one that is the last method that I'm going to explain in our next class, the double intercept method. So like I said, guys, let us utilize our community section. I can see some of us are getting used to the community section, while some of us are still addicted to the WhatsApp. So guys, I want us to use this platform as it is all on this platform so that we do not mix up, all right? To say, I have a question there, I go to WhatsApp, I check that person. Let us send all the questions, everything here on YouTube using community section. So that is it, guys. Till we meet again.